Now at 6, Oregon lawmakers race against the clock.
Right now, we're going to work till the bell.
So will the almost $12 billion transportation bill survive? Plus,
super alarming, very disturbing case, frankly.
Neighbors in Southeast Portland in shock after what appears to be a random stabbing caught on camera.
Definitely concerning having it, not even a block away from me, so.
Then a change in summer plans affecting anyone planning a beach escape on Sauvie Island.
And are Portland's leaders out of touch with the Rose City about to have the highest rideshare fees in the country?
Yeah, that seems like quite a big jump.
Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Christine Pitawanich. First at 6, down to the wire in Salem, where lawmakers have until the end of Sunday to wrap things up. They've got a whole lot to tackle, including a massive transportation bill.
Though right now we have indications that the Democrats' big effort, staunchly opposed by nearly all Republicans, is in jeopardy. House lawmakers set to reconvene any moment now after a break this afternoon.
Let's get right to Catherine Cook, who's live in Salem. Catherine, what's the latest there?
Well, guys, all afternoon, Republicans have been claiming the bill is dead. And for the majority of them, that's exactly what they want. However, Democrats are holding on to hope. They say the bill is still very much alive and being worked on right now. If that's the case, and House Bill 2025 passes, it would bring in just under $12 billion in revenue to fund multiple transportation projects through new taxes and fees. If it fails, ODOT says they'll have to lay off 600 current employees and reduce winter service levels starting this winter. On Thursday, the bill made it out of committee with an 8-4 vote, including support from Representative Kevin Mannix, the only Republican to vote yes. That landed the bill on today's House session agenda. And again, Democrats are still hopeful it will make it to the floor for a reading and vote. The transportation bill's sponsor and the House Republican leader shared their thoughts on the bill's status.
Now we're going to work till the bell, and we are going to keep working with the governor's office and with the speaker's office and the president's office and all members of this particular session that are working on trying to make sure that whatever we get to the floor is the very best bill possible.
I think that Oregonians themselves are the reason that it's dying, just the pressure that they put on legislators inside this building to listen to them. And so it feels like it's been a slow death, that it was building opposition, and it took time.
If the bill passes the House, it would take every Democrat voting yes in the Senate to get it to pass through there. Lawmakers had hoped to wrap this session by tonight, but it's clear, guys, it may stretch into the weekend. As you mentioned, the House and Senate have both been on breaks for the last several hours, and we're told they should be returning to the floor any minute, so we're going to head back into the Capitol right now. Back to you.
And again, they've got until Sunday evening, we're talking midnight, to make a decision. Catherine Cook, live for us in Salem. Thank you, Catherine.
Well, this just into the KGW newsroom. The Multnomah County DA has determined the actions of a sheriff's deputy who shot and killed a man in Gresham earlier this month were justified, and that deputy will not face criminal charges.
We're also getting our first look at body cam and surveillance video showing what happened. But a quick warning, while we will pause that video before the shooting, it may still be disturbing to watch. It started with a report of a fight on June 13th near Northeast 162nd and Gleason. Police say the suspect, Ladarius Collins, pistol whipped someone, then ran away. Deputies chased him through a nearby neighborhood, and it's difficult to see, but investigators say this home surveillance video shows Collins walking toward a deputy's car, pointing a loaded gun at it. You just heard that deputy firing 6 shots, killing Collins. The Multnomah County DA's office found the deputy believed Collins was an immediate threat and had a right to use deadly force.
In your headlines now, Portland police have arrested a suspect in connection with what appears to be a homicide on Hayden Island. Officers found a man dead there yesterday on the west side of the island. The suspect, identified as 68-year-old Timothy Hudson, is now facing murder charges. Authorities have not released the victim's identity or the exact circumstances of his death.
And tragedy on the coast. 2 teenagers were killed in a crash on Highway 101 just north of Cannon Beach. It looks like we've got some incorrect video there. We'll fix that here in a moment. Police say yesterday afternoon, a southbound Toyota Tacoma crossed into the opposite lane and hit a Honda CR-V head-on. Then the Tacoma hit a Nissan Rogue. 2 girls in the Rogue were killed. They were 12 and 15 years old. Another passenger in the Rogue and all the drivers involved went to the hospital with serious injuries. Police are investigating why the Toyota crossed the center line.
In Washington County, the sheriff's office is working to return stolen jewelry to its rightful owners. It stems from a search warrant earlier this month at a home on Southwest Vermont Street in Portland, where detectives recovered necklaces, watches, and jewelry boxes. Hundreds of items have yet to be returned. The sheriff's office says you can prove ownership through detailed descriptions of the items, photos, or receipts.
Oregon Health and Science University has named its new president. In a unanimous vote today, the board of directors chose Sharif El-Nahal, who earned his medical degree and an MBA from Harvard University. Most recently, he served as the Undersecretary of Health at the Department of Veterans Affairs. President Joe Biden appointed him back in 2022. Before that, El-Nahal served as president and CEO of University Hospital, that's in Newark, New Jersey. The incoming leader says he'll work to deliver care to more patients and continue OHSU's mission of academics and research.
But what can happen is that we step outside of the value boundaries of this organization and start divesting from care for the poor, care for the most vulnerable Oregonians. That cannot be part of the equation in solving those other problems.
El-Nahal begins his new role in August.
And speaking of summer, big changes are coming to beaches at Sauvie Island to reduce overcrowding. Starting July 4th, you'll need to grab a free beach parking pass that is on top of the $10 wildlife area parking permit. The number of free passes are going to be limited. Keep in mind this only applies to weekends and holidays. The Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife says they'll be made available on Thursday mornings about 2 weeks in advance. We checked right now. You've got the holiday weekend and the weekend after. I think that's the 12th and 13th. Check it out. Details at myodfw.com. Celine?
David, we're finally going to start warming up. It's finally going to feel like summer. We've been dealing with the June gloom, but finally things are going to start turning around. Right now, the clouds are just starting to break out there. Temperatures, though, feeling comfortable. We're sitting at 70 degrees outside. Like I said, the clouds have just started to break up. It's been a cloudy day. Over the last few hours, of course, we've just been dealing with that cloud coverage, and temperatures have been mild overall. We're looking at 69 in Hillsborough, 70 in Aurora, 70 in Troutdale. Along the coast, temperatures a little bit cooler. 60s, 66 in Tillamook, 61 in Newport. So despite the clouds, obviously temperatures have been mild. It's just been, again, all that cloud coverage. Over the last few hours, we've been nice and dry. Early this morning, we saw a little bit of patchy drizzle in some areas in the Portland metro area, less than 1/10 of an inch, not significant at all. Again, it's really just been that cloud coverage that we've been holding on to for the last couple of days. But that changes, as you can see. We're dealing with the sunshine starting to come out tomorrow. We're going to see that all weekend long, and even on Monday, not only will it be sunny, it'll be hot. We're looking at 90s. We'll break all that down a little bit later. Back to you.
Hey, we needed a change, and here it comes. Thanks, Celine.
Developing this evening, people living in the Montevilla neighborhood are uneasy after what police think was a random stabbing. It happened yesterday on Southeast 91st Avenue near Stark Street. Today, the person who was stabbed is recovering in the hospital, and the man accused in that attack made his first court appearance.
Well, John Adams is live outside the Justice Center in downtown Portland with those details and, sorry to say, another difficult piece of video here. John?
Yeah, David and Christine, that's exactly right. And we still don't know exactly why this attack took place, but it did shock residents that live in the Montevilla neighborhood in Southeast Portland. And like you said, we do want to warn you, this video could be disturbing to some viewers.
This Ring camera video captured just before 9:30 Thursday morning shows the moments a suspect stabbed a man while he was walking down Southeast 91st Avenue in the Montevilla neighborhood. A day later, residents are in shock.
Yeah, that's kind of concerning, definitely concerning, having it, not even a block away from me, so yeah.
Barbara Curtin lives one house down from where that video was captured. She has lived in the neighborhood since the 1950s and can't remember anything like this happening before.
My parents bought this house originally in 1956 before it was built, finished being built, and never had anything like that happen here ever.
Super alarming, very disturbing case, frankly.
Portland police say the attacker in the video is 24-year-old Michael Cash. Sergeant Allen tells us Cash was taken into custody about 25 minutes after the stabbing. This knife was recovered during the arrest. Sergeant Allen credits neighbors for providing police with critical information that allowed the suspect to be tracked down.
We had community members who came out of their house to not only help the victim, but immediately provide information to the officers, and that really was the difference here.
The last of Cash, first of Michael.
Cash made his first court appearance Friday afternoon. He faces charges of assault in the first degree and unlawful use of a weapon. Sergeant Allen says seemingly random attacks like this are not typical in Portland.
And it's very rare. We just don't see crimes like this that are just random like that happening very often.
Well, Cash did enter a plea of not guilty in court earlier today. Now, Portland police tell me the victim was stabbed once in the torso and is still in the hospital recovering from those serious to potentially life-threatening injuries. Back to you.
That's just startling. John Adams downtown. Thank you, John. In an update this evening, a U.S. Supreme Court ruling narrowed the power of lower courts when it comes to the scope of nationwide injunctions. This means a judge's injunction would only apply to the state or groups that sued. And legal experts say this could have big implications for President Trump's plans, especially those to end birthright citizenship. In a statement, Oregon AG Dan Rayfield saying, quote, universal injunctions have historically been a crucial tool when unlawful policies threaten to cause widespread immediate damage. Without that tool, there is a risk that harmful policies could take effect before courts have a chance to rule on their legality. Washington's AG saying, quote, this morning's order does not dispute the issue we handily won in the trial court. The President Trump's attempt to strip birthright citizenship is unlawful and wrong. The Trump administration is seeking to change the language around this so that it only applies to people who have at least one parent as a U.S. citizen or permanent resident. This ruling sends those cases back to the lower courts. A number of groups have already filed amended lawsuits.
Coming up tonight on The Story, people living in Northwest Portland weighing in on two new homeless shelters blocks apart, slated to open nearby. Since the neighborhood association formed a shelter accountability committee about a week ago, about 120 business owners and other residents have already joined. This comes after the city and a local nonprofit announced plans to open two overnight homeless shelters. One is on 14th, the other on 17th. But neighbors say they haven't been included in conversations about those shelters. They hope the committee will help change that.
I think this neighborhood is a loving, caring neighborhood, and we're perfectly willing to accept a reasonable plan that has a proven track record of success and is sound. But what we're being offered is definitively not that.
Tonight at 6:30 on The Story, what Mayor Keith Wilson has to say about the complaints and if plans will change.